r/AskReddit. Escort girls of Reddit. Have you ever been caught by the clients? So how did that go? At this strip club I worked at, one of the dancers had a daddy that came in legit almost every day. He actually was good looking and charming. His wife saw his car in the lot and pulled in and tore past the bouncers and ran into the VIP area. They were back there. It came to seconds of them getting caught. She didn't get her tip that day, so he tripled it the next time out of guilt. Wow. There was next time. Some people. He went on to pay all of her legal fees from a raid that happened. But there's a happy ending. She's a really good person now. Her baby changed her life and she glows. When I was pro-doming, I had a great client, one of my favorites. He was this older guy, worked in construction, who liked to be dressed up like a pretty girl and humiliated. This is an incredibly common fetish and easy money. For his 60th birthday, he decided he wanted to try getting pegged. That wasn't something I'd do for just anyone. But we had good rapport and the idea delighted me, so I went ahead and made him my ch for the evening. He loved it. We had a great talk afterwards about how liberated it made him feel. How, as he got older, he wanted to try new things. And how he wished his wife could understand and be adventurous with him. This is not an unusual conversation. What is unusual is that the guy apparently told his wife, "I got a nasty email telling me to stay the hell away from her, man." I never responded and never heard from him again. I hope they made it. This is why you get out all the gross stuff while you're dating. My fiance and I found out pretty early that we both like stuff in our butts, and it all went pretty smoothly. Was this before or after the lube? NSFW. I used to post ads on Craigslist looking for peen. Usually I'd post with titles like "Hot Mouth looking for down low married men." The title helps with how they feel they identify. Anyways, I get this message of a dude who says he is willing to be generous if I can make him come using only my mouth. After about 5 hours of texting back and forth, I agree to meet him at a motel. He was about 32 years old, married with twins. How do I know this? Because when I arrived to the motel, the wife and only the wife was there waiting for me. I knocked on the door in the sequence I was told. Door opens and there she is. The look on her face said it all. I don't think she realized I was a guy until I was then and there. She gave me this whole spiel about being a homewrecker and that I should be ashamed. It wasn't as bad as it could have been. I did offer to give her some oral since I was already there. It didn't happen, but she did consider it. Edit, a friend with weed is a friend indeed. But a friend with gold is the best, I'm told. Leprechaun. Thanks for the gold. I did offer to give her some oral since I was already there. It didn't happen, but she did consider it. This is the greatest thing I have ever ducking read in my life. I want more details on this. You homewrecker. Sorry. Want me to go down on you? So I'm thinking. I worked as a dominatrix years ago, and during those years I had acquired some regular clients. This particular client worked in another province and lived in another country, but all the same was a very good client. He told me that he was separated from his wife. However, when he went back to his place in the other country, she found my dom number, called me. She was asking me who I was and how many times I saw him and etc. It went okay besides her yelling and him pleading not to say anything. I don't even remember what happened after that, but he still remained my client after the whole ordeal. Edit, I do not engage in oral sex or intercourse with my clients. Furthermore, I remain clothed at all times. Sort of the other way round. But I found out the girl I was dating was an escort when she texted me instead of the client. True story. That's part of how I found out my girlfriend was cheating on me. She lived in a gated community and somehow her instructions in a text to someone else on how to get through the gate and get a visitor's pass bled over into a text she sent me. How? I don't know, and when I asked her about it, she denied she sent me that. She lived 42 miles away, so she knew I wouldn't just drop in. One Friday she lied to me about going to a friend's for dinner and I knew she was lying to me. So I dropped in. It did not go well. But it did scare the hit out of the guy. These are not times I care to remember, nor rehash in my mind. But 2.5 years later it still stays in the forefront of my mind. I can't seem to shake it. Edit. 18 hours in and this has just become my top comment. Interesting how that happens. These misrouted texts are a godsend. My buddy found out that his wife was banging her boss because of such a text. She was allegedly in the boardroom in a conference she was at. She was texting him saying how boring these corporate stiffs are and how she misses him, and suddenly in the middle of that, a rather risque pic on Snapchat saying, "Come on right up. The door is not locked." There was no coming back from that. Thankfully for him, my country's divorce laws excessively favor women when it comes to custody. He sort of blackmailed her and said, equal custody, no alimony. They were making the same amount of money, and if she said no, he would tell her parents and friends the real reason for the divorce. As she was from a conservative family that was very well respected by her community, she acquiesced and they had a fair and amicable divorce. Oh boy, do I have a good one for you guys. I hope this doesn't get buried. This happened 2 months ago. This guy was in town for business and booked me for an hour-and-a-half golden shower session. Now, the way this hotel room was set up was you open the front door, and the bathroom is to your left, and you can clearly see the bathtub right as you walk in. So about 45 minutes in, I'm standing over him in the bathtub in full lingerie giving him his golden shower while he wanks. He comes full force right as his wife opens the door. Me, standing over him, peeing on his peen. Him covered in my piss and his own cum. She just stands there in awe for a few seconds as I start taking my piss-soaked panties and stockings off. Then she starts silently crying. He doesn't move from the bathtub and just has his head in his hands and looks like he's doing from embarrassment. I feel like I'm about to cry because the situation is so bizarre and intense, but I swallow my feelings enough to remain composed. Please just take your things and go. I won't call the cops. Just leave. I will need to rinse off in the shower really quick. I'm so sorry, but I can't walk through the lobby like this. Whatever. So I rinse off, grab my things and go. Neither one of them have moved. As I walk out, I say please try and understand that fetishes are really hard to discuss with a partner, and they don't go away. I wish you the best. Thank you. 2 days later I get an email. It's his wife, explaining that she doesn't understand her husband's fetish and asking me to give her some insight into where to start researching. I sent her some links and my own story of having this fetish, and thanked her on her husband's behalf for being so understanding. Edit. Well, that got unburied real quick. Thanks for the gold. I should mention too that the wife told me in her email that her husband had brought up his desires several times and she kept brushing him off. So she can't blame him that he went to a pro. I was going to add this as an edit shortly after I submitted, but I was about to be late for an appointment. As for the details on how a golden shower lasts for an hour-and-a-half, it's all about the build-up. Stay classy. Reddit. Edit 2. If I had known he was sharing a hotel room with his wife, I would not have taken the appointment. And I guess he knew that because he hid all her stuff before our appointment. Damn. Possibly saved a relationship. Way to go. Hooker with a heart of gold. Throwaway account. I was the client. Backstory. Married young, 20. From extremely conservative background. I was an extremely selfish ex-addict. I visited escort/strip club/illegal brothels pretty consistently for the first 8 years of my marriage. So had no idea. I lived a pretty extreme double life. Relevant part of the story. I became emotionally attached to the last escort I met. We had mutual interests. Even had some mutual acquaintances. I considered leaving my so to be with her. I hated myself. I felt I deserved to be with a drug-addicted prostitute. I couldn't handle the weight of my addiction. I didn't want to hurt my so anymore. I came clean. So was devastated. Right or wrong. She wanted to know everything. Every detail I could ever remember. Went through my phone and found the number of the last one. So texted her to corroborate my story. So was still in disbelief. And came to realize that she was in a bad way in her drug addiction. My so is a saint and offered to help the escort in any way possible, and they had sporadic contact over the course of the next few months. My so was never mad to the other girl. Actually had a lot of sympathy for her. The other girl eventually got herself the help she needed. And as far as I know, is out of the business and is clean. Our marriage deteriorated. We separated. Which was the final push for me to get the help I needed. After a lot of bumps. And a lot of therapy. My so graciously allowed me back into their life. It has been a struggle. Obvious trust issues. Anger. Hurt. But we've made it through. The wounds I created have left scars that will probably always be there. And I have to deal with that. I have to do everything I can to make it right because my so is worth it. She doesn't hold it over my head anymore. But I still struggle with the guilt at times. We just had our 15th anniversary. Update 1. Wow. Thank you internet stranger for the gold. Update 2. Not Duggar. She helped the escort get clean. Then had the self-respect to leave the relationship. And then gave you a second chance after you got therapy. Your so is a saint. I'm glad it sounds like you really appreciate her now. 3 miracles makes a saint. Edit. Apparently I'm wrong. It's 2 miracles. It's official. Opso has been canonized. May her gentle soul live on forever in our hearts. Got a call on my phone from an unknown number. One was at my laptop. So I typed the number into Google and hit enter. This was years ago before Google started futzing phone number searches. And when it didn't load immediately, I went ahead and answered it. Turned out to be a tech from work who needed help accessing one of my systems. I walked him through it. Then turned back to my laptop. The top hit on Google for his phone number was a Craigslist ad for gay erotic massage. And it wasn't a wrong number, it had a couple months of ad history, and even though there were no face pics, his unusually hairy arms and a small tattoo were easy to identify. I kept that story to myself for a few years, only relating it after I left the company. I told the story at a bar with some old co-workers, not knowing that this guy's wife was friends with one of them. Anyway, my bad. This is why I never drink anything while reading a Reddit comment. Coffee isn't good for screens and keyboards. Third party story incoming. I knew someone who began going to escorts. My friend was his GF, and she noticed he had missing hours in his schedule. Apparently he'd lie about being with friends or where he'd been. I thought she was being insane and clingy, but she finally snapped when a group photo of a work event that didn't have him in it popped up on FB. She asks around. He wasn't at that after work event despite saying he was. So being a sane individual, she hid her phone in his car. She tracks it from her house once he's done with work and is likely up to no good. She sees her phone as showing at some expensive apartment building where the car is parked. She goes there, smashes his window, retrieves her phone, then calls him with it. Not sure about much after that, but apparently he had white powder all over his face. Needless to say they aren't together anymore. Edit. In her story she said something like he had white powder all over his face when she retold it. I can't attest to the type of powder or how all over his face it was. It may have just been nostril crust. So being a sane individual, she hid her phone in his car. That made me laugh. You laugh, but in her mind you can probably bet she felt like Sherlock Holmes for putting it all together. I had a very close friend that was an escort for a while. She met a man and they hit it off. He would show her pictures of his wife and children. Eventually the man has the brilliant idea to stage a meeting at a bar with my friend and his wife. The plan was for my friend to seduce the wife. They would have a 3-way and all the guy's dreams would come true. It kinda worked. Not only did it work, my friend became a mistress to them both long term and ended up nannying their children. You can't make this hit up. Edit. Okay, I guess I could make this hit up, but I'm not. Also, for the guy asking about the guy's income, I don't know. But I do know he paid for her to get braces, and he paid for a few semesters at the state university. Last I heard he got her a pretty sweet car, too. I would be lying if I never considered this as a career path for myself. Obligatory second edit to say that my highest rated comment is about my loose tie into the world of prostitution. You can't make this hit up. There are at least 1,000 porno movies that involve this very situation. Double that for Skinamax type flicks. Plot twist, they are all loosely based on this guy's life. Ducking like and subscribe.